So, hey, this is the Modern Day Council. I got with me today Eric Lehman of the Game Changer Movement. And today is our holiday show. Just kind of talking about like our past experiences, fond memories of the holidays, maybe some not so fond memories of the holidays, and kind of talking about, maybe the memories that we want to create with our kids. I don't know. I kind of figured I'd leave it open for what kind of comes up. And before the show started, Eric and I kind of were talking about some things that I was having come up in my life about confrontations that I've struggled to kind of get over, and how we can use, the holiday as like an opportunity to maybe I don't want to say confront, because I feel like when the word confront is like a defensive word, and more like bring up or I don't know.
Well, there's
Thomas.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. How you doing?
All right.
It's weird. I used to get like notifications when people would jump in, and I didn't get one. I just saw like additional movement on the side of the screen. So, welcome to today's holiday show. I was just saying that we're going to talk today about just anything that kind of comes up, whether it be fond holiday memories or anything related to holidays that we wanted to talk about. So, Eric, did you have something that you wanted to lead in with?
Well, I guess two things. I feel like one of the things that I like getting to do is reframing or re-choosing words. So there's this book that I read about a year or so ago called Crucial Conversations. So like instead of calling things confrontations, let's have the crucial conversations that allow the holidays to be once again about joy and celebration rather than like shrinking to my old youthful self or childlike self, in the presence of family that looks at me that way or patterns that show up that way only when I'm in that environment. So and I'm in a place of choice this holiday season because I don't yet have a vision, with three shopping days left to go, for where I'm gonna be. All I know is that I'm not gonna be with my kids, but like, there's some really awesome memories, and for some reason, just a memory of a tree trimming, which is, coming from sort of Jewish descent, was a new thing for me when I was taken in by my best friend's folks, and so we had this tradition where everyone would get their own ornaments, like specific to them, and then year over year you'd get your own box of ornaments that you were accountable for putting on the tree. And so I remember one Christmas where I had amassed a good number of ornaments because I spent probably 10 to 15, tree trimmings in a row, amassing these awesome ornaments, and we would, drink really nice red wine and trim the tree and, put some angel on the top of the tree, and it was a glorious tradition. And then, like this particular Christmas, we were all in such a buzz and a glow, like I feel like the wine was definitely flowing. There was this like bottomless cup, but not like, drunkenness. Right. But we like, I had what my family referred to as the eternal grin. I'm a very happy drinker. I don't get drunk much, but like I smile a lot. And and so, I'm holding my wine glass in one hand and, my special ornaments in the other, and I'm trimming the tree. And then at some point, we all sit back and just admire the tree. And we're drinking our wine and talking and just sharing memories. And then all of a sudden, we're sort of all witnessing like the tree shifting, but slowly, you know, and like it doesn't shift fast enough for us to think that it's falling, but like because we're somewhat intoxicated, we're just like, oh, that's interesting, and none of us take action until the tree is like fully falling. But then, you know, I remember like we all start taking action at different points on the tree, and I was wearing this like big burly sweater, like this, you know, like double knit cotton kind of thing. So, you know, so I caught the tree on the top of it in some way, and, you know, then we're like, you know, wine glass in one hand, so like wine is flying in the air as we're trying to like deal with the tree, and then, you know, we think we caught the tree, and we think we, you know, protected the most expensive ornaments from the tree. And we're starting to celebrate that, and like, you know, no sooner do I say, well, I think most of the really, you know, fragile glass ornaments have been spared, and I stand up, you know, with my double knit sweater, which had captured every single one of the most fragile ornaments. So one by one, they dislodge themselves from my sweater and proceed to crash onto the floor and like create a secondary eruption. And it was like, because we're still so like joyful and, you know, somewhat intoxicated, like we're laughing it off as there are like shards of glass everywhere. So it's just like this, you know, this memory that we're gonna carry, you know, no matter where we spend Christmas any given year, we're all gonna have that memory remind us of this season. So so I feel like it's just, you know, as unknown or as nebulous as my intentions for this, you know, this particular Christmas, you know, is or are, like I love that this season, even though it's pretty warm in the Northeast right now, still reminds me of memories like that. So, you know, I mean, it would be great to hear other stories of that sort. You know, like, not that anyone needs to have a Christmas tree falling story, but yeah, like what are your other like holiday memories that, like, you know, make this a glowy time of year?
Tom, you want to take that?
Well, I mean, if I go back into childhood for Christmas memories, we always had Thanksgiving at my house, and we always had Christmas at my aunt and uncle's house. And one of the things I liked about my aunt and uncle's house was that I could go down into their basement, you know, while everybody was having appetizers and before the dinner was ready, and play with the stuff down there, because they had a girl as a daughter, and we were all boys in my family, and they had a set of Ken and Barbie dolls in the basement that I actually liked to play with, because I thought this was fun. You know, I mean, there were no like gender stereotype attachments to it or whatever. It's just like, oh, you know, play. Now, one time my brothers, who are older than I am, discovered that I was playing with these dolls, and they kind of came down on me. They're like, "You really shouldn't be playing with those things. There are lots of other things to do here. You know, I mean, you know, we got you a Swiss Army knife for Christmas, and all this other kind of stuff." So, you know, but I think of it not so much in terms of then and whatever influence or impact it had on me, although obviously it was memorable enough that, you know, the Ken and Barbie dolls were banned from, you know, from that point on. But I think of it today as young people grow up in a world where gender is much more fluid, where, you know, expectations in a way are where the world just kind of isn't as rigid, and how holidays are times when often things do tend to be rigid in their expectations, and things are expected to be done in a certain way, and everybody's expected to play a certain role and all of that. And I just think that your holiday is what you make of it. Your traditions are what you make of it. Everybody can come together as a family, even if there may be a member of that family that another member of that family doesn't approve of in some way, or doesn't approve of those choices, or in many cases they're not even choices. Someone doesn't approve of someone's declaration of orientation or whatever it is. That a holiday can be a time where those things can be set aside in a way, whatever those differences are, and people can come together and say, we're going to celebrate. We're all part of the same family. We're just not going to get into that stuff. We're going to be open and accepting, and create new traditions maybe that everybody likes. So I don't know, that it kind of turned into a little bit of a rant, but going from that memory sort of how rigid things were in the early 1970s to a different time when I think holidays can still be a very hard time for people who don't fit into a particular rigid box. So I put this out there to encourage all the families who are celebrating their holidays to accept your kids, accept your cousins, your nephews, all these people who may not fit into the rigid box.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Well, I don't know. I was going to tell a story, but now I feel like maybe we should talk more about it.
I'll bring it back to the box, but you go for your story.
You take it. You take it now, Eric. Go ahead.
Well, it's just really interesting, Thomas, because I am that cousin, right now. and so I'm just trying to really, to quote Pippin, try to find my corner of the sky, on this one. And I'm at this very crucial turning point in the unfolding of my world, and so the last thing I want to do is subject the tender energy of the Game Changer movement and what I'm about, to the old patterns, and so regardless of how anyone else wants to be, wants to show up with me, I think I get to choose to accept myself, this year, and make a vision that works with my energy, even if it's a non-vision, even if it's the empty set, even if I just do window shopping for 24 hours while everyone else is eating turkey or ham, and being raised partially Jewish, maybe that's just okay, So I just, there are so many opportunities for acceptance, and the holidays are definitely one of them. And I guess what I'm sharing this because, when we were first coming out as modern dads, right? I almost assumed that we all had it more figured out than other dads, and now I'm just in the thick of it, and I have no frickin' clue, and I am, I'm making wrong decisions left and right, and taking the consequences, and I'm making right decisions left and right, and I'm feeling that, and we're all in this petri dish together, So, and the holidays, in a way, could be the perfect time or the most imperfect time, to dive into whether, if you don't feel accepted in advance, then don't go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, that's just the other option,
But when you use that phrase, the tender energy of your movement, I love that, because anything that we're trying to do, any new thing that we're trying to do, anything that we're investing ourselves in, anything that we feel strongly about, until it's really launched, until it's really off the ground and running and all that, it's exactly where it is. It's in the stage of tender energy, and we feel passionately about it, we care about it, and we really do not need to hear criticism of it. We just don't. It's not, even if the other person is right in whatever they're saying, it's not the right time. It's not constructive. It doesn't help anything.
Right.
It just causes us to feel bad and to question and to get angry and to it's so. You know, I came up with this 4-part structure for a circle of how creative ideas get started and go through the cycle, and it's strength, patience, wisdom, and grace. And the wisdom section, that third quadrant, is when we have the wisdom only to show it to people or only to share it with people who are going to be supportive, who are going to affirm what's good about it, who are going to say, you know what, you believe in this, go for it, you know, and not apply the kind of destructive negativity that can really damage ideas when they're in that fragile state. So I think that's very important. And you make another point, you know, when you say don't go. I mean, we're all grown-ups and we get to draw boundaries. We get to say no.
Right.
You know? And there's a consequence. You know, we live with the consequence of drawing the boundary and saying no, and understanding that someone else might feel a certain way. But that's a really healthy thing to do, and it's a really healthy thing to teach our kids to do. That, you know, yes, they're children, and yes, they're under our control, and yes, we're in charge, but we do want them to grow up with the ability to draw a boundary, to say, no, I won't do that. No, you can't, you know, make me do that, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, to have that self-power, or willpower.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I've actually heard it called won't power. And I feel like, you know, and I think it's important, you know, and thank you. I mean, because like this group has like always been like safe energy, you know, like I can laugh, I can cry, I can present a tender concept, and even if you guys don't agree or don't climb on board or whatever, like I know that it's safe and I know it's not going to be shot down, and so like I celebrate who we are to each other, and I also understand that that's somewhat rare, you know, in this day and age, because there are many, you know, many groups who think that they're doing us a service by trying to poke holes in our idea.
Right.
You know?
Exactly.
And I'm like, no, you're not. You know, like there's no reason to poke a hole right now. Like it is like, you know, and that's, I don't know if you guys have heard of this concept called the angel's advocate, but like, you know, there's this idea that, you know, if you're in a creative meeting or a brainstorming and someone brings up a tender kernel, like the rule, the policy that presides on the floor saying the next person who talks needs to say something positive about the idea to add energy to it rather than shoot down something in its tenderness. So yeah, I mean,
that's great.
Yeah, I'm loving that we get to be each other's angels advocates, and I celebrate you guys for that. And I would love to hear Chris's story too. So.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Well, mine was like when I was a kid, my dad moved to Europe, and so every Christmas and summer, I'd go over there to visit. And one year, this was like early '90s, and my brother got this Chicago Bulls starter jacket, which, if you remember early '90s, it was like the Bulls and the Pistons were always like back and forth for basketball. And my brother was a big Bulls fan, and then because we were so close to Detroit, of course I was the Pistons fan. And but anyway, not that had anything to do with it. We went outside and we were playing around in Italy, and my brother had gotten a brand new Bulls starter jacket, and I was wearing some nice turtleneck sweater. Well, this little Italian kid takes out these Roman candles and he lights them up. Now, over in Italy, they don't have like all these
Rules.
rules and regulations when it comes to fireworks. Some guy, Federico, somewhere was making these things in his garage. So these things were like rockets shooting out of these Roman candles. And if you don't know what a Roman candle is, it's a stick and then little fireballs shoot out of the end of it. And so this kid thought it'd be funny, and he's pointing them at my brother and myself. And my brother, but it hits my brother first, and he's standing there. He's like, oh, and he's like practically on fire with this firework. It like got stuck in his brand new starter jacket and like caught it on fire. And then I was standing there, and I got hit in the neck with my turtleneck, and the Roman candle thing just sat there and burned. Well, it actually burned like the top part of my neck. Not so much where it was sitting, because my turtleneck protected my neck a lot. But so that was my fun holiday visit to Italy the one year. And then we turn around and we get on an airplane and come back home. My brother's starter jacket's all burnt to hell. And I come home with this big burn on my neck. My mom's like, what the hell happened to you guys? You're gone 2 weeks, you come home all burned up.
Wow.
But that was like a kind of fun, exciting Christmas story. I don't really have any other ones. They're just mundane holidays. They're not mundane, but just regular holidays.
Mhm.
The one tradition, though, that my mom's family has that I did want to talk about was that every Christmas Day or Christmas evening, everybody gets together at one of my aunts or uncle's houses or my mom's house. And we have like a cards night, and then we do a white elephant. Now, the white elephant thing is like you bring a gift, and then people you can steal the gift up to 3 times. And once it's been stolen 3 times, it's found its rightful owner, and so we play that little game, and that's usually a blast. We had a couple of years there where that's the same gift would be re-gifted, and everybody was looking for that gift, like, oh, where's he at? Like, so that kind of became a game inside the gift exchange. So I don't know, those were just some really fun traditions that, as my kids grow older and I start in the family kind of dynamic shifts, because I'm sure that dynamic isn't going to be that way forever. Although it's been a good number of years that it's been maintained, I don't know how many years it'll last. So, but it's definitely something that I'd like to keep a piece of that alive in my own family as we, evolve and to whatever tomorrow brings. So, I'm complete with that. Those are my Christmas stories.
Do you guys watch any movies like annually?
Oh, The Elf.
Yeah.
With Will Ferrell. Yeah.
I don't think I've seen that movie from beginning to end. Maybe I'll take that on this year. I need, I guess, 11 more. If I'm going to fill up all 24 hours of Christmas.
Oh, gosh. Well, what? One thing to keep in mind is that the movies that we loved, either as kids or adolescents, or whatever, and some of these traditions, like, I think about showing them to my kids, and I just know my boys are not going to be into It's a Wonderful Life. They're going to say, no, no action, no. It's just part of it is it's just a different time period, but so it makes me think that we need to understand that some of our traditions or the things that were sort of so special or meaningful to us in some way, they don't necessarily translate to the next generation, and that opens the door to, like, well, we could have a different tradition. Like, one of my kids could choose a movie or a Christmas movie. What do they want to watch, and then maybe that could become something that we do every year, rather than my subjecting them, to Jimmy Stewart or whatever, because like they don't even know who he is.
Hmm.
So.
Yeah, that's what we did with the Elf and
Hmm.
what's the other one? The newer Grinch with Jim
Right.
Carrey. Hmm.
Jim Carrey. Oh, okay, I thought you were talking about not Edward Scissorhands, but Willy Wonka. But gotcha.
Yeah. Have you seen the Jim Carrey? I
No,
say new, but it's like 10 years old or something.
no, I'm well, maybe I've seen parts of it, but I still go back to the old. I think Boris Karloff did the
The
voice
voice.
of the original Grinch.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
and the animation is like it's so bad, but it's I don't know, it was part of my
So
childhood.
classic.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely. No, those are the movies that I've moved to because of the kids. Because it's like I know they're not gonna want to watch, It's a Wonderful Life. To your point, So the Grinch though, that gets them. They love it. And
Right.
then that Whoville, the way that was shot, it just really brings to life because it's real people, real actors and stuff. So I don't know, it just really kind of comes to life. It makes it enjoyable for me too. Luckily, I went and saw they have that new holiday movie out for adults though with Seth Rogen.
Hmm.
Who else is in that? I can't think of all the actors' names. He's the big one. Have you seen the previews for that?
No.
Where Seth Rogen's Jewish and he wears this Hanukkah sweater, and then they go to the Catholic church on Christmas Day or whatever, and I think he's like tripping on mushrooms or something. And he's like, we did not do that to Jesus. He's like, screw you guys. And he like throws up in the middle of the aisle at the church and stumbles out. Yeah, not one for the kids, definitely not. But it was definitely a funny adult Christmas movie.
Hmm.
Partying and debauchery. But
Wow. For me, I always watch When Harry Met Sally. That's kind of a non like faith-based holiday season movie that I need to take in. But yeah. So any other? Yeah, I'm trying to figure out like what I need. I used to love like the Heat Miser and the whatever that one was.
Heat Miser.
Like it was sort of like the claymation kind of movies.
Oh.
Jack. What's that called? Nightmare
Oh,
Before Christmas.
No, not that one. But
Jack
like,
Frost is pretty good.
yeah, that is a good movie. I remember Jack Frost. That definitely, that could
And
be
of course, Polar Express is pretty good, but that's really for young kids.
right.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. So what other stories? Like, I mean, just like I'm thinking of other, holiday memories, and I think I also remember like blended family stuff where it was just like like how many Christmases can you attend in one day, and
Mm-hmm.
and how to navigate that. And I think I looked at it as a challenge for my stomach growing up, and I loved it, and I would imagine others looked at it as just like a logistical nightmare, but
See, we didn't do that growing up. That's one thing I gotta say. I'm lucky, or I feel blessed to not have been stretched in that way.
mhm.
Like my mom's like if your dad wants to fight about it, or it usually wasn't a fight, but it was holidays I usually would spend with my mom, but they were supposed to alternate. But my mom's family had a big Christmas gathering where my dad's didn't.
Mhm.
So it made it kind of simple. Like you go to your mom's parents' house, that's where all my aunts and uncles all came, all my cousins. And like I was talking about, you have cards, and it was this big event, and you had the white elephant thing that was just it was a blast.
Mm-hmm.
So my dad, I would have been mad if he would have said you can't go to that because you have to go to this. But it was at the same time, it was like, well, so we just the family kind of negotiated days and really weeks. So for an example, we celebrated Christmas on Sunday at my house.
Mm-hmm.
So Anna came early, and my son's off to California. He landed today in Las Vegas,
Cool.
and then tomorrow he goes out. He shoots out to San Diego, but so yeah, he's not gonna be here for Christmas. So it's like, well, what are we gonna do? I was like, let's just have it early. And that way, for Christmas, he got some spending money to take with him out to Las Vegas and San Diego.
Right.
And so we were able to kind of turn it into a positive and create some good times there without having to feel that holiday stress of got to get here, and be at all these different stops in the same day.
Mm-hmm.
I feel fortunate that we didn't do that. So I'm complete.
Mm.
So you did a lot of that though, Eric?
In a way, that's the irony, is like when times were good, yes. When times were really bad, then I only saw one side of family. So that logistical chaos meant things were like I got to see the people that I cared about,
Right.
So I think that's the irony, is like I welcomed that chaos, and so this is going to be the exact opposite. I'm like, oh wow, this is an interesting other side of the chaos where I'm like, it's going to be way too peaceful, and so we'll figure it out. But yeah, I mean, I didn't have a value judgment about that. Like, I didn't think that was a nightmare at all. I just felt like, and I think it also tapped into my extrovertedness. I love groups of people. I love that kind of energy. So for me, the more the merrier, and almost the more chaos, the more calm I feel.
Right.
So I think that's why I'm sort of somewhat unnerved, by the lack of chaos that this Christmas and even New Year's is about, so yeah, and that's my own evolution, this could be the new normal. I'll try it on, and okay, maybe I'm not as extroverted as I used to be. Who knows? So I don't know. A friend of mine was saying, like, are you going to go to so-and-so's thing? And I'm like, I don't think I was invited to so-and-so's thing. He's like, well, I don't think I was either. And I'm like, oh, okay. It's just like, we have these, circles of friends, and none of us know which end is up, sometimes. And maybe they think that we're going to be doing something, other, where we wouldn't be available, so we don't get invited to things, and maybe they don't, maybe they don't want us there, so who really knows? So,
for all you know, you got 10 friends all sitting at home alone on Christmas when you could all get together.
Like a bad Sesame Street Christmas special where Bert and Ernie don't even go out and get presents for each other. I don't know if you guys remember that one. Do you remember that one?
No.
Oh, this is classic. This was Bert has this paperclip collection that or vice versa, Ernie has his rubber ducky. You don't remember this? This was mega childhood memories. So anyway, I guess what happened was Bert would get Ernie a paperclip collection holder, and and Ernie would get Bert a rubber ducky holder, So, but in order to do that, they needed to trade in the paperclip collection and the rubber ducky. So like, you know, so at Christmas time, like you're like, "Where's your rubber ducky?" You know, and I'd like you to get in for your, you know, paperclip collection holder. You know, like, and like it's like one of those tear jerky, you know. So anyway, that if I could dig that one up, I'd watch. I'd spend another hour or two watching that.
That Sesame Street episode.
Yeah,
It's got to be on Hulu or something.
I bet you it will be, and I'll let you know.
now you've got a mission.
I do.
I will watch Sesame Street.
Right.
I will cry again to see how.
Yeah.
it goes.
And now I have a flashback of like Big Bird having this icicle like hanging from his beak. None of you remember this at all. Like this is just my own memory. Wow. Like I usually go like lean on you guys for like.
I wasn't a big Sesame Street watcher.
Oh, now it comes out. Okay.
Yeah, I have to stand up and admit that.
Wow. So we've got, you know.
But I did watch it more with my kids,
Uh-huh.
but not so much as a kid.
Yeah, I didn't watch too much Sesame Street either. Mr. Rogers and that, but yeah.
Yeah, I watched Mr. Rogers. I definitely saw that show.
Mm.
And then, that's where they had the train, where you get the train goes through the tunnel, and then
And
there's
the
the
Mickey.
people.
Right. Yep.
Yeah,
Trolley. Yeah.
yeah. So yes, I definitely watched Mr. Rogers.
Mm.
But my mom, we didn't really watch a lot of like the classic Christmas movies. I never watched those as a kid growing up. We really didn't do a lot of TV, movie kind of things. It was more like going out, being social, doing things. Like I'd go to my mom's work parties when I was little. She worked for True House of Munch, which is a distributor for Budweiser.
Mm.
So she, this was like they had this really cool facility, and they'd have these big Christmas parties every year, and so us kids would go. And my mom was never a drinker, so it wasn't a thing. Even though she worked for a brewery, there was like beer all over, all kinds of different beers and what have yous. But yeah, I don't know. Never watched much of the TV stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That came like with my own kids, kind of my own like new tradition. And I wonder if that came out of like laziness more than anything. Like, I don't feel like doing anything today because we spent half the day shopping. I'm just gonna chill and we're gonna watch this new Christmas movie. Sit down and relax. And that would be my excuse to take a nap. Realistically, I think that's where the Christmas movie traditions came in at my house.
Well, that idea.
You can get a nap in.
Yeah. That whole idea, though, of taking a nap, we get so stressed during this time of year. It's important to keep the self-care in mind. It's important to get that rest when you can, if you can, and to do something nice for yourself,
Mm-hmm. I want to get myself a massage.
That is. I've been wanting to do that for a while, and I think that's probably going to happen at some point in the new year. There are 4 or 5 places around here that.
Well, let's make a commitment to each other, Thomas, that
right.
we will spoil ourselves with some massages.
Definitely.
You in on that, Eric?
I think I could go there. Yeah, I mean, I guess I'm also on a mission to find someone even of the less professional variety to.
Wait a minute, what kind of massage you looking to get? That's not what we're talking about.
He means unpaid.
Yeah. I mean, we're all here. Like, we're all.
I
don't know.
I found this on the subject of sort of comfort. Restoration Hardware has these amazing plush, like they call them faux fur, but they're not really they have blankets that are faux fur, but this other one isn't really fur. It's just like this really soft, plush blanket, and I got one for this beanbag that I got for the house, and my kids just loved it. And so I got a second one for the car because they like to have a blanket in the car. And then I said, you know what, I'm going to get one for me. So I got a third one of these soft blankets. They're like $29 each, so it's not like they're expensive. But, you know, I felt, on the one hand, indulgent getting one for myself, and then on the other hand, like, okay, this is mine. You know, so when my kids are grabbing this, no, that's my blanket. No, that one's mine. You have yours out there.
You guys got yours in the car over there. This is mine.
Yeah.
We get to do that, don't we? I love that. Do you have anything like that, Eric? That it's like, this is mine.
That's a great question. I used to just want the maiden voyage of something, you know, whatever it was, like whether it was a new sweater or you know, even a new recipe, you know, like I wanted to just be the first bite of the rice pudding, or I don't know. So like mine is a very interesting word, you know, like I guess as I'm getting more and more minimalist and I want to own less and less, like, yeah, I can't think of where mine would apply, you know. I mean, I'm sure I'll get off the call and be like, oh yeah, that's mine. You know. I don't know. I mean, just the other day, like I was telling you guys about the Nutcracker Suite story where, you know, everybody won. You know, like I got to send my kids to watch the Nutcracker, but I didn't have to spend $17 on a nap, right? Mm-hmm. Which I could put towards a massage in the future if I don't find a partner in my life to give me one for free. But while I was out, I went to a used bookstore and I found this amazing, you know, like treasured writings of Khalil Gibran, which, you know, I feel like, you know, it's mine as much as it will be, but like as soon as I got it, I'm like, oh, you know, my 15-year-old daughter would love it, you know. Mm-hmm. Not that I want to give it to her, but I want to share it with her, you know. So like, I think it would be fun to augment her like Shakespeare addiction with a Khalil Gibran addiction, you know. Mm-hmm. And if that's how we connect, then how beautiful would that be? Mm. So yeah, but mine, holy cow, yeah, that's a word that hasn't really been a deal for me in a while, you know. Like there was one thing in my history. I used to have a CD Walkman, like you know those back before MP3.
I'm old enough to know what a Walkman is.
Yeah, well, like the CD Man was like its own, like, you know, like, and I think that's what allowed me to disconnect from the rest of the world. Mm-hmm. You know? And so like I like the idea of, you know, kind of hooking up an MP3 player to the household, you know, stereo or whatever, mm-hmm. and being able to share music with everyone. But yeah, mine is a very interesting word. I'm glad you brought it up. But like I will investigate mine, you know. Yeah, but I mean, like, other than like the first bite of recipes as they just come off the stove, mm-hmm. like I don't have a mine, but I'm pretty serious about the first bite, and like, you know, when kids do try to like sneak in under my arms and like grab the first bite, there are consequences. Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, interesting. What about you, Chris? What's mine for you?
I think for me it's this. Okay, I'm gonna back up a little bit for me. The past 3 months, I've been going through this leadership training and everything, and the biggest thing that keeps coming up for me is I want to do things I feel like I have to do things myself. Mm-hmm. So relying on other people is something that I tend to not do. Or ask for help, kind of a thing, you know, saying, hey, I can't do all this on my own. Can you help me? Here is the things that I need you to do for me. Thank you. Kind of, you know, asking those questions. So my little kind of selfishness, or I don't. It's not selfishness. It's that little piece for me, right? Is asking for help and working on that, knowing how to say no to people. So it's not really I don't have a blanket this year. This year it's more of like giving myself permission to say I'm going to be indulgent of myself and get that blanket, like Thomas did. I guess. Does that make sense? I mean, you guys feel where I'm coming from? Do you guys ever suffer from that say yes to everything syndrome and like? Yeah, I guess that's the main thing for me is that I have a hard time saying no, and I'll stretch myself too much to the point where I don't show up in my fullest because I'm stretched too thin. So, yeah, that's my real struggle for this year. Like that would be my New Year's resolution if I wanted to pick a New Year's resolution. It would be to work on that part of me.
Like overcommitting?
Yeah. Yeah, being more committed to focus on personal focus.
Right.
I mean, that sounds so selfish to say.
It really isn't. It isn't selfish because the only way stuff gets done is if the only way we achieve our goals is if we do that. Because everybody has an agenda, and I don't mean that in a negative way. Everybody wants to advance whatever it is that they care about, and if what someone else cares about is aligned with what you care about, I mean, Chris, if you and I both want to get massages, and we can encourage each other to do that, then that's great. But, if someone else comes to you, I need you to do this, I want you to do that, can you do this for me, whatever, if it's not aligned with your goals or your agenda, it's hard sometimes to say no. And sometimes we'll look for the alignment, like, oh, maybe this will lead to that or whatever, and sometimes it does, and sometimes it's good to to say yes and open up new pathways and relationships and things like that. But sometimes if we want to move our own projects forward, we really just need to say, nope, sorry, that doesn't work for me, not going to do it. No emotion in it, really, no hard feelings. Just no.
Yeah, and that guilt portion of it is a one that I think a lot of people struggle with that.
Yeah.
I know for sure it's definitely a big struggle of mine. It's like anytime my cousin called me the other day and needed to borrow my truck. Without even looking at my schedule, I was like, of course, whenever you need me to help you, I'll be there. And then she calls me up to do the move, and I'm like, oh shit, I got this going on, I got this on. Like, and it created this like tension and stress, and I was like, ah. So I did help her move, but it was for me that was like the camel's back, like the break of the camel's back. Like this, I get to be more diligent of my time and what I agree to and disagree to, or not disagree to, but align to. And I like how you put that. So, with that, I'm complete.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, these holidays are really interesting because they stir up a lot of stuff, right? And I mean, I think the other opportunity for us as modern dads is to hold each other accountable to our New Year's resolutions as long as possible, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, maybe that would be a good thing for us to announce as we close this show, and like,
let's do that. So, hold on, because I don't think so. Today's the 22nd. The 29th, I'm not gonna have a show because there's a chance I'm gonna be traveling that day. So on the show for the 5th, let's discuss New Year's resolutions.
Alrighty.
Does that sound good? I know we had discussed calling them different calling it a different name. So instead of a New Year's resolution, it could be a New Year, I don't know, recommitment or something. You know, we can kind of have fun with coming up with another name over resolution.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So, but with that, we are about at time. Guys, gentlemen, thank you for today's show. Thank you for sharing your stories, having a little bit of fun, discussing the holiday season and all the things that come up. Because you're right, Eric and Thomas, I know we both kind of talked about this, is that the holidays are times for you to be stretched. It's time that you're going to get pushed to limits in certain ways, and what comes up for you? What opportunities are there for you to create traditions, or what opportunities are there for you to let go of some that may have passed on already that you're holding on too tightly to, right? So, does anybody else have anything, last comment they would like to add?
No, I just I hope, you know, like, just that we all set intentions and allow this holiday to be what we actually want it to be, rather than passively, you know, just letting it happen. And I mean, like, I love letting go, but like, I also love living by intention. So I even in the empty set that is the plans that I don't yet have, you know, I want to be intentional. And so I guess, you know, that would be a prelude to a New Year's resolution, you know, or whatever we want to, New Year's intention, you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right.
Awesome.
Okay, I gotta go. Thanks, guys. Have
All
a great
right.
holiday.
Thank you.
Thomas, thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Uh-huh.
All right. Perfect.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.